To donate during the course of tonight's event, click on the icon in the upper right-hand corner. When you see the GPT logo, click on it, enter your donation amount, and click checkout. Thanks again for all your support, and enjoy the show.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us for Grosse Pointe Theater's 8th Annual 10-Minute Play Festival. What you are seeing tonight is the final step in a year-long process. After a 2-session playwriting workshop last November, playwrights submitted their plays by the December 31st deadline, anticipating an April or May performance at the Grosse Pointe Woods Presbyterian Church. Well, that performance was canceled, as well as all our main stage productions, and it has morphed into tonight's performances. These were rehearsed and videotaped in accordance with all COVID-19 safety standards. The plays are being offered this evening as readers' theater. In other words, the actors are reading the playwright's words while seated, without scenery or special lighting, using vocal expression to relate the story. Stage directions will be read off camera, so you'll know and understand what the major movements are. Our theme this year is By the Light of the Silvery Moon, and all the plays had to include some reference to the moon. As we go through the evening, see if you can catch the moon reference in each of the stories. So, having said all that, let's get started with our 8th Annual 10-Minute Play Festival.
A county fair in a small town. Poppy and Danny are at the very top of a Ferris wheel.
Sure is taking a long time for people to get on this thing. Maybe we're stuck, Poppy. I told you this Ferris wheel looked older than God. I wonder how they rescue people if it's really broken.
We'll be going in no time, I'm sure. Hey, I'd put that phone away if I were you. One jolt of this little buggy and it's a goner. You might be as sorry as your great-grandpa a century ago.
Well, why? What did he drop? It sure wasn't a cell phone.
No, much worse than a phone. He dropped your great-grandma's engagement ring. He wanted to propose at the top of one of these. What was supposed to be a romantic moment in the moonlight sure wasn't.
So did they ever find it?
Eventually she got her ring, but listen to how it played out. After a frantic search of the gondola and then at the base of the ground, guess what happens?
I don't know. What? Geez, what is taking so long?
Ladies and gentlemen, we apologize for the temporary delay as our mechanics fix a minor issue with the Ferris wheel. Please remain calm and enjoy the splendid summer evening.
Oh, great. We're stuck up here and my phone's almost dead.
That may be, but I'm not. Although one day I will be, and unlike that little iPhone of yours, you won't be able to plug me in for a recharge.
Well, Poppy, don't say stuff like that.
Hey, how about you put that phone away and let's talk? Besides, it's gorgeous up here. I feel I could touch that moon. Let's enjoy the present moment.
The present moment sucks. I'm stuck on top of a Ferris wheel and my phone is dying. But okay, go on, back to the story. How did Great-Grandpa manage to drop the engagement ring?
Trying to put it on Great-Grandma's finger while perched atop a Ferris wheel just like we are. A tiny jostled the gondola, the ring missed her finger and slid off her lap and disappeared.
Wait, they call this thing we're riding in a gondola? I thought those were the old boats in the city in Italy.
Venice, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's also the name for what we're riding in. Okay, so where was I? Oh yes, when Gigi, that's what everyone called your great-grandma, by the way. So when Gigi and great-grandpa came back around to the ground, a carnival worker helped them search the gondola and then the sand dirt below the ride. So no ring, so poor.
Come on, Buggy, let's get going! Sorry, so what happened then?
So poor Gigi was so distraught, she plopped down on the sandy ground and cried like a child. But great-grandpa consoled her and promised at daybreak to sift through every square inch of the sand at the base. If unsuccessful, he secretly knew he'd buy another one.
Did they ever find it?
Well, here's that part of the story. They left the fair and went back to the boarding house where she lived.
Wait. boarding house. Was she a student or something?
No, but young working women rarely lived alone in those days. In big cities, ladies often stayed in what was called a boarding or rooming house. Remind me later to tell you an amusing story about Gigi and that rooming house. Anyway, they sat quietly in the sitting room, as they so often did, but instead of sneaking their usual goodnight kiss, somberly stared at the carpet.
Wait, they were grown-ups, but they had to sneak a kiss?
Oh, indeed. Pretty conservative back then, Danny. She and her roommates were under the watchful eye of a matronly old house mother. They were allowed a few minutes after a date in the sitting room, and it was for just that, sitting. Surely not a place to get a kiss or sing or dance. Okay, so where was I?
They were staring at the carpet.
Oh, yes. So they sat there a while Gigi broke the silence, complaining about a stone in her shoe. Slowly she reached down to the insole to remove the source of discomfort. There was a stone, all right, a sparkling stone, a multifaceted diamond embedded in a platinum band. She squealed in delight.
I bet that woke up the old house mother.
It sure did. Great-grandpa said they saw her spying them from behind the spindles on the staircase.
So then did they kiss? And did they sing and dance in spite of the house mother?
Sure did. After the I love you forever kiss, he walked over to the Victrola and...
What's a Victrola?
It's a large record player. It was a brand name once, just like the term Kleenex. It became generic. They called every brand a record player a Victrola back then. So as I was saying, your great-grandpa went back to the Victrola, put on their favorite song, pushed open the French doors, and pulled Gigi onto the terrace to dance under the moonlight.
Sounds more romantic than being on a Ferris wheel anyway.
I agree, and when the record ended, he went right on singing that song to her.
So that's where you got that.
I guess you mean my love for singing?
Yeah.
True. Anyway, he sang what they called their song, a sweet one, about being engaged under a silvery moon, which is just what happened. Gigi heard that song that night, again at their wedding, and probably many other times too. At least that's how the story goes. Remember, Danny, I wasn't there.
How do you remember all that, Poppy?
By careful listening, and I come from a long line of musicians and storytellers, you know.
Do you know their song?
I think it's one verse that repeats. By the light of the silvery moon. Mm-hmm. By the light of the silvery moon, I want a spoon with my honey all croon love's tune.
Croon, spoon, no, Alexa won't know that song.
Bet she does. At least the Mitch Miller version. You can check when you get home.
Well, do you and Grandma have a moon song?
Yep, Moon Dance by Van Morrison.
Huh, I wonder if Mom and Dad have a favorite moon song.
I happen to know that they do. We played it at their wedding. Shame on the Moon by Bob Seger.
At least there's one I've heard of.
I think they're going to get this thing going around after all, Danny.
Darn, I like it up here. I don't feel stuck at all anymore. Hey, next time I see you, let's look at those old pictures, Poppy, and then you can tell me the funny story about Gigi in the boarding house.
Sure. By the way, Danny, I never did feel stuck up here. And you know why? What could be better than spending time with you under all this celestial magic? Just look at all those glittering stars and that bright crescent moon.
It's pretty, but like tonight, the moon always just seemed white to me. I've seen a yellow moon before, but does a moon ever really look silvery, Poppy?
When you're in love, it does, Danny.
They're quiet on the descent, both enjoying the moon and the stars. Then both look toward ground as the gondola slowly moves into position to let them off.
Wonder if I'll ever be able to tell stories like you, Poppy.
Of course you will. Like I said, you and I come from a long line of storytellers. Just listening to stories helps you learn to tell them. But let me add, always be in the moment. Lots of little moments later stitch themselves together and become stories. Who knows, Danny? Our experience tonight might be a story you tell your kids and grandkids someday.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe I can retell some of yours, too. Maybe I can even learn to croon that Silvery Moon tune.
Now look at that. Even right now, doesn't that moon look a little bit silvery to you?
Yeah, kind of bluish silver anyway. So how does that go again? By the light of the silvery moon.
I want a spoon. To my honey I'll croon love's tune. Honeymoon, keep us shining in June. Your silvery beams will bring love dreams. We'll be cuddling soon by the silvery moon.
Two women are sitting at a campfire that is slowly dying out.
I don't believe I ate 2 s'mores and all those marshmallows.
Well, that's what happens when you go camping. It's all the fresh air. Or have you forgotten our scouting days?
Oh, I remember. I've chaperoned a couple of Girl Scout outings with my daughter, but it's just not the same.
It really isn't. It really isn't. Some of those songs we sang around the campfire were really inappropriate.
Oh, yeah, but what did we know? We were only a bunch of girls learning stuff and having fun.
Well, the fire is getting pretty low. It sure is getting dark.
Hey, have you looked up at the sky lately?
Wow. Look at the moon. The silver's all gone. It's red. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's a lunar eclipse. It's called a blood moon because of the color. That's why I brought you out to Blueberry Lake tonight. Gets so dark at night, I thought it would be a great place to stargaze.
Nice.
Hey, remember the stories we used to tell each other when it got dark?
I'll remember. Are you kidding? They still give me the chills.
Weren't there some of your grandma's stories you told us?
She had so many stories, and she loved to talk.
Oh, yeah.
Remember the one about the night that she heard someone walking through the house while everyone was still asleep? She swore it was a ghost. But my dad swore that it was just a burglar who left because he couldn't find anything to steal.
That's a good one. So funny. Who do you believe?
I guess my dad. But there are a lot of stories like that one. Like about the old houses in the city that were haunted.
What about dogs howling? Didn't she say something about that?
Yeah. She said that if a dog ever howled under someone's window, they would die. And she had all sorts of names to prove that her story was true.
How long was it after the dogs howled? Until they died?
She never did say. I do know, though, that our neighbor's dog did howl at our house, and it scared the hell out of me.
Did someone die?
No, we live there.
Guess we'll never know.
No, unless my grandmother comes and visits me some night when everyone in the house is sleeping. Jesse, you used to tell a scary one. Something about a hook?
Yes, I'd forgotten about that one. There was a young couple out on a date, and they decided to go to the local makeout spot. Down a long, dark road through the woods. On the way, they heard some news reporters something. Some guy was going around killing people. His hand had been cut off in an accident and was replaced by a hook. And he was slashing people who were sitting in cars parked in dark areas. Anyway, all was quiet when suddenly the young couple heard scratching noises on the car. The girl, she wanted to leave, but her boyfriend said, "Oh, it's just the wind blowing leaves and branches across the car." Eventually, the scratching stopped. The boy got out of the car to prove to his girlfriend that everything was okay. He wanted to show her branch scratches. And there, hanging from the door handle, was a hook from a hand!
A dog howls in the distance, and a rustling noise is heard.
You should see yourself. You look terrified.
It was, the stories. And then the howling. I thought I heard something else. And oh my God, that took me back. I haven't been that scared over nothing since I was a kid. I need to catch my breath. Jesse? What's that noise?
It's just the bushes.
If it's the bushes, they're moving closer.
I'm turning on my flashlight.
Don't you be scared.
Isn't that what we want?
I know it's dark out here, but I see eyeballs. Beady little eyeballs.
I'm going after it.
No, you're so big. I'm right behind you.
They walk away from the fire, carrying marshmallow sticks toward the noise. Jessie drops her stick, and they both run back to their fire.
Get rid of your stick. Get rid of your stick.
What is it?
A raccoon raccoon. It's scavenging. It must have smelled our marshmallows. Just go throw your stick and the rest of the marshmallows in the bushes.
Andrea throws her stick away.
Okay, enough of the old wives' tales and the ghost stories. I've had way too much excitement for one evening.
The stick in the bushes slowly disappears.
Let's just watch the fire die out and then walk back to the cabin. And then maybe I'll be able to sleep. How long does this eclipse last?
I really thought you'd outgrown those unreasonable fears by now.
Well, a little fear isn't a bad thing.
It is when it gets in the way of having fun.
Well, sometimes fear is the fun. I mean, why do you think all those film producers make a small fortune off of all those horror movies that they release every year? I mean, they're blockbusters, but they're not great cinema.
I'd rather think of it as needing to err on the side of caution.
Jesse, right about now, my unreasonable fears are about to run away. How can you stay so calm?
You are so predictable, Andrea. I just knew I had to bring you up here when I read about the eclipse.
What are you talking about?
You are my best friend. Always have been. I've got great news. I've been offered a teaching position in Florida, closer to my parents.
I didn't know you were looking down there.
I know. I didn't tell you because I didn't think it would happen. But since my parents retired and moved down there, I wanted to be able to look in on them every now and again.
Aw, that is awesome for you.
Sorry about tonight. I set the whole thing up. The ghost stories, the noises. To have a little fun before I broke the Florida news.
Well, it worked. You had me going.
And I had my brother on my cell phone muted. He was rustling the branches and grabbing the marshmallow
There's
stick.
no cell phone reception out here.
What do you mean? I talked to him when we left the cabin.
Jesse, there's no cell phone reception this far away from the cabin.
All the noises
And the footsteps.
have been real?
A man walks through the bushes toward their fire.
You ladies okay?
Yes, we're fine. Just a little skittish right about now. Between the eclipse and the darkness and my friend and I reliving some of our past, I guess we're just a little out of sorts.
I saw y'all ladies pull in this afternoon. I don't know if you heard the news. There's an escaped convict roaming through these woods. Said he had a hook for a hand. Does this belong to either of you?
Slowly, the man holds up a hook. Sam's Coffee Shop, an all-night coffee shop on the corner of East Grand Boulevard and East Jefferson in Detroit, overlooks the entrance of the Belle Isle Bridge. The coffee shop is a haven for people living nearby on East Grand Boulevard, a street described as a mental health ghetto. Many of the residents were put there when the state mental hospitals closed and because of its cheap housing.
You see us all over now, singing and dancing in the street. Everyone wonders why our music's playing with no beat. Hands shake, lips move, spirit searches. Mind finding. CAT scan our minds, find bad dreams and wild scenes. We hit the switch to rewind and lose our grip on things. Reality lures our sadness into madness, and there is no kind cure. Are we mind-finding? Please, take a chance. Dance out of the dark and into the light. Dare to touch hope. Be found, lips moving, hands shaking, spirit searches. We are mind-finding.
Sam is looking out the front window of the coffee shop as Claire enters.
What are you doing on the bridge, Claire? It's after midnight. You're shaking. Where's your gloves?
In the river. Sam? Broke again, Sam. Wallet's in the river too, Sam.
Sam picks up empty prescription bottles.
What are these?
Happy pills. You know, I took the last one yesterday. Don't need them anymore. Preacher on TV says the world ends next week.
Claire, what's the deal? You need money? Here, how much you need?
My daughter gave me $50 on her way out of town with my grandkids.
Duncan enters the coffee shop.
Claire, where have you been? You had an appointment with Dr. Shaw right after me.
Look, no more psychiatrists, no more happy pills, no more shots. Just leave me alone.
She's been on the bridge. Must be near 0 degrees out there.
When she didn't come home last night, I found her there.
And I won't be there tomorrow.
Claire, please. Dr. Shaw will get a court order and you'll be right back in Detroit psychiatric.
Oh, over my dead body.
Claire tries to leave. Duncan blocks the door.
Back door is locked.
Claire, what do you want?
What, did I ask for anything?
She said something about her daughter leaving town. It's a bad thing to lose your daughter.
I know. Megan took the kids to catch up with her husband, David. He got a new job in LA.
Claire showed me the kids' pictures first time she came in. She'd die for those kids.
I was never going with them. Megan does not control my life. Not even a goodbye. You know what? She chose her family. I chose me.
She tossed her gloves and purse in the river. What are we gonna do, call EMS?
They'll strap her down like an animal. I know that right.
I'll close up then. I'll help you take her back to the apartment.
Oh, so you two have it all figured out. Claire's family abandons her. Claire goes off the deep end. You don't get it. They didn't abandon me. I abandoned them. So, when does my life change?
Claire, you made me believe that change was possible. I don't care about you, or I care about you way more than you know. I'm afraid for you.
Claire, sit down, please. Why are you doing this?
Nothing you'd know about, Sam. Look, I don't need your help. I just need to get out of here.
Claire moves towards the door again. Duncan blocks her again.
Claire, please stop this act. This won't get you your rights back. Judge Cohen gave you 90 days to get it together. Next time, it's going to be a lot longer. I went to speak up for her at the court hearing, but the judge wouldn't let me talk.
You know what? I don't really even give a damn what Judge Cohen thinks anymore. I didn't stand a chance, Sam. You want to know what this is about? Okay.
Claire pretends to be Judge Cohen.
Now, Mrs. Bancroft, how do you respond to Dr. Burns' psychiatric evaluation of you? Well, you know something, Your Honor, I wasn't exactly crazy about it. And, pardon my choice of words, but Dr. Burns made it look like I was fucking crazy.
Claire moves to a menu blackboard and starts writing.
So she insisted that I have 2 mental problems: bipolar disorder, 296.04, and post-traumatic stress disorder, 309.81. So the way I see it, she added both numbers together for a total of 605.84, which makes me look really bad, right? So what I did was this. Instead of adding the numbers, I subtracted them. So really, I'm only a 13.77, which is real progress, don't you think? Mrs. Bancroft, you're obviously not taking this hearing very seriously. Okay, Judge Cohen, what about the report my doctor sent to you, Dr. Shaw? She said I was doing good enough to get my rights back. Mrs. Bancroft, Dr. Shaw evaluated you once. Dr. Burns has known you and evaluated you many times. And, Mrs. Bancroft, I understand you were offered a chance to move with your daughter and family. Your Honor, you know, you sit here every day and pass judgment on people like me. You don't know what it's like to lose control of your life. I lost Carl, a blood clot, took my husband instantly 11 months ago. My family left 2 weeks ago, and I'm not finished! Mrs. Bancroft, you're not helping yourself by this display. I order you to continue in treatment for another 90 days. You can continue seeing your psychiatrist if you like. But Dr. Burns will have to evaluate you before the next hearing. Do you have anything else you'd like to say? Yeah, Your Honor, I do. You see, people like me bother people like you so much that you set up a special place for us on East Grand Boulevard. And it is really no surprise that that's where I ended up after my husband died. Then I got up and I walked out. Look, I knew what Judge Cohen was going to do.
What are we gonna do, Duncan?
Claire, you know why we're worried.
Look, it is my life. It is my choice.
Last time you made this choice, you almost didn't wake up.
Did you try to do
Yes, Sam! Guilty as charged. Look, 11 months ago, I'm in the kitchen and Carl's making breakfast. And he puts his hand on my shoulder and he tries to say something. And then he collapses to the floor and he's dead. Okay, right there in front of me. EMS didn't even let me go to the hospital with him. Megan was there and said that I was too emotional. So they left me home alone. What do you do with yourself then, huh? Finish breakfast? Wash the dishes? I stood there mopping the floor where he died, over and over, and I felt everything. Then I felt nothing. So I took the sleeping pills, and yeah, that was it. I was locked up at Detroit Psychiatric for 2 weeks. Carl's funeral was a blur. I went with a hospital aide. Yeah, I got hysterical. I got hysterical in front of Megan, I got hysterical in front of her husband, and I got hysterical in front of my grandkids. Yeah, I was so ashamed, you know. I tried to deal with it, but it is so hard.
Claire, I know.
What do you know, Sam?
Sam takes out his wallet and shows Claire a picture.
This is Sophia, my only kid. She left us when she was 17, crashed her car into a bridge. We don't know why. The police, the school, couldn't tell us why. Wasn't our fault, they said. How did they know that? My wife never leaves the house. I spend most of my time here. It's been 10 years, and I still miss her so much. Sophia didn't know that we would die with her.
I am so sorry about your daughter, Sam. I didn't know. But I'm not 17. I decide about my life. I thought I was the perfect mental patient. Yeah, damned if that wasn't something I was really good at. You know, took all my drugs on time like clockwork, took all my shots, never missed a doctor's appointment. You know, it was amazing. And it hurts more now. I can't even care about anyone else.
Claire, what happened? You were doing so well.
Disappointment happened. Got a letter from Megan yesterday.
Claire pulls out a letter.
Dear Mother, I'm writing to let you know that I contacted Judge Cohen's office and told him I objected to you getting your rights back so soon. We think you need more treatment.
Duncan takes the letter.
Amy and Jeff are afraid of being with you ever since the funeral. I don't want anything else to happen like what happened to you or Dad. Dad told me a lot of times how stressed out he was about you. Again, I'm sorry, Megan.
She blames me for Carl's dying.
It wasn't your fault. Didn't he have a heart problem? Don't beat yourself up.
You know, and now I get why she stayed away. She was ashamed of me. And should I be mad? I mean, should I be sad? She never talked to me about what happened. How can I know what she was feeling? I didn't even know what I was feeling.
Claire, I was afraid to tell you this. Megan came by to see you a couple of weeks before she left. You were at the clinic. She told me she had been afraid since high school about getting sick like you did. She freaked out what she called your spells.
Duncan, don't you get it? She wanted you to tell me because she couldn't do it herself. Huh. I'm to blame for Carl's death and for all the craziness in the family, past and future. You know what? It is not my fault. I didn't have control over any of it. All I wanted was to be a part of their life without feeling guilty or ashamed.
Claire, you'll lose the apartment if you don't stick with the program. Dr. Shaw has to sign the paperwork every month. No treatment, no rent money.
Duncan, I don't care about the apartment. You can have it, because I am not going to need it.
Claire, I'll never get Sophia back, but you could get your grandkids back.
Sam, I'm sorry for the way I treated you tonight.
Claire, since Sophia died, I never told anyone else this. For a long time after she died, I closed the shop, but I still came here. I sat all day and late into the night looking out at the river until one night I decided it was too much. So I went out into the Belle Isle Bridge. It was in the winter, cold, like tonight. I went out without my coat. I seen a man do what I was going to do. But before I could, a man driving by saw me and stopped, jumped out of his car and ran towards me, pulled me away from the railing. He saved my life. Claire, what can we do to pull you away from the railing? Please, go back with Duncan to your place tonight.
Claire, I know there's no easy fix, but maybe we can get Megan to change her mind and contact Judge Cohen to reduce your sentence. Maybe she would be willing to contact Dr. Shaw too. I don't know if it'll work, but it's worth a try.
Please, don't give up. Take a chance.
Amy and Jeff will learn to understand.
Duncan, let's go home. Not to worry, Sam. I think I just need more time.
Claire and Duncan exit. Sam locks the front door, sits down at the table, looking at the picture in his wallet.
they aren't going to start until 7:15. Why'd they get the rest of us here at 7 o'clock? You'd think they would understand how important time is to a busy man like me. Waiting for them is a giant waste of my time. I got places to go and people to see. Why aren't we starting yet? What's going on here? Hey, you know, you got people in here waiting to get started. We were here on time, so why keep us waiting? Let's get the show on the road. Chop, chop, let's go.
Maybe they have to wait for someone else to get here. Someone more important than we are.
Who could that be? Do you know who I am?
No, I don't. Do you know who I am?
No, I don't believe we've been introduced. I'm Gus McClelland. How do you do?
How do you do, Mr. McClelland?
And?
And what, Mr. McClelland?
Well, common courtesy suggests that now it's time for you to introduce yourself to me. Just repeat after me. How do you do, Mr. McClelland? My name is Mrs. Blank. I'm so happy to meet you.
How do you do, Mr. McClelland? My name is Mrs. Blank. I'm so pleased to meet you.
Very funny. You know what I mean.
No, I don't believe I do. Didn't I say it right?
I was calmly introducing myself to you, and I get a smart-ass comment in return. Well, never mind. I don't give a rat's ass who you are. In fact, you're nothing to me, and I don't care who the hell you are.
Oh, can we do a selfie too? Just to prove to my friends that I spent 10 minutes alone with Gus McClelland. They'll be so impressed when I tell them.
Tell them what? What can they possibly be interested in? You know nothing about me.
Well, you just told me a few minutes ago that you are pretty important and no one should keep you waiting. If that's true, then my friends will be impressed that I met someone so very important.
Well, no reason to get snarky, Mrs. Oh, that's right. You still haven't told me your name yet.
Well, there's a reason I haven't. Speaking of important men, you would recognize my husband's name, given what's on the other side of the door over there. Life as you know it will never be the same once you walk through that door.
What do you know about that?
Oh, you'd be surprised what I know. Oh, and just to be social, you can call me Janet. Janet Lanfried.
Janet? Is that really your name?
No.
No. Just no? Well, then why did you even bother to tell me if it's a flat-out lie?
I've piqued your curiosity now, because you don't know who I am. You don't know who my husband is. Maybe he's richer and bigger and stronger than you. Maybe Lanfried is my maiden name, so that's all help.
I told you I don't give a shit who you are.
Oh, it's interesting to me to see Mr. Control Freak has lost all control in the situation, and somebody else is going to judge you and make a decision about your future. And there's nothing you can do about it.
Oh, we'll see about that, Ms. Whatever the hell your name is. I make it a rule to always assess the possibilities and then choose the one that works best for me.
What? You're number 32? They told me my partner would be a tall, good-looking dude. I don't think they were quite truthful.
Well, aren't you just the sweetest thing? They told me my partner would be a short mamacita with a lovely set of knockers and 2 left feet. They were right on several counts.
I don't know how I got involved with this. My girlfriend signed me up. I don't even watch these reality TV shows. How stupid to practice a dance routine all by yourself, and then, as soon as you meet your partner, you have to perform it live in front of 37 gazillion people.
My niece sent my name in. Well, heaven knows what photo of me she used. Probably one from high school 40 years ago. Hey, maybe that's why we're teamed up. The 2 old folks.
Have you practiced at all?
I did. Did you?
Well, of course I did. But it's really hard to do. Just thinking at a video of a robot dancing and pretending you can just slip into his arms. It's just not the same as dancing with someone. But I even used a dust mop to pretend he was a partner.
Hey, are we allowed to run it once before we go in? I mean, there's no one else left, so we'll get called soon, and unless they've all gone home and forgotten about us.
Well, they wouldn't do that, would they?
Come on, let's do it once together before we have to go out in front of all those people.
Okay, you ready?
Yep.
5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Back step. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Back step.
Numbers 31 and 32, please report to the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the final act of the evening. Thank you very much for attending our annual fundraiser for the Allied Research Fund, trying to find a prevention, cure, or treatment for terpsichorean enchantment. Your efforts and donations tonight are greatly appreciated. Now, may I present Mr. Gus McClellan and Mrs. Caroline... I'm sorry, I cannot read your last name, Caroline. Ladies and gentlemen, Gus McClellan and Caroline somebody.
We are in a fancy retail spy shop in London. Gabriella, the store manager, stands behind a huge old English desk, counting gold bars and cash from an open briefcase. With her is Jamil, visiting manager of their New York office.
I'm going to drive our secretary to the bank to make sure that she's not robbed on the way. Goldfinger has such a passion for gold bullion. These bars are heavy and worth $10,000 each.
Gabriella, remember, the only thing that matters is getting the money to the bank.
Absolutely.
I mean, we must sell big. Mm-hmm. All other details are a moot point.
Très bon.
And how much was the bionic briefcase sale to Goldfinger?
$200,000.
And what did you put in the false bottom?
Everything I could. Debugging devices, bomb sniffers, bulletproofing, and even those night vision binoculars.
Good. No wonder it's almost $250,000.
Gabriella continues unpacking the briefcase and counting, eventually getting to the bottom and pulling out a pair of fancy binoculars.
By the way, Goldfinger ordered a new bulletproof Mercedes limo with the tear gas gun portals and the ramming bumpers.
By the way, has Interpol contacted you about going to Paris to testify before their terrorist committee?
Not yet. Hey, look. Here's a pair of the CIA's new upgraded night vision binoculars, like the pair we sold to Goldfinger. It's a new moon tonight, barely any light. Let's see how much detail we can see with it, and from how far away.
We've really been making a ton of money on these binoculars. However, they've also found their way into rather sinister hands.
Wow, check out the view from this window. You can see Elizabeth's tower and the clock hands. The night sky is really silvery with the moon so new. Here, take a look.
Yes, I can even tell the exact time. I'll bet you could even see the changing of the guard at Buckingham Palace, too. It's amazing what you can make out from so far away with these. Oh my God, look! There's a man shoving a woman into a limo. He's holding a gun to her head, but she's really putting up a fight. They're leaving in a black Mercedes. Looks like Russian plates to me. Here, look.
Oh my God, look, that can't be. The man with the gun is Ivan, my assistant manager. Could he be the one selling the night vision binoculars to the terrorists? You know, Joanne was the manager of the London office before me, and she mysteriously disappeared. Ivan was her assistant too. I wonder where she is now.
My sources tell me that she's hiding out in a North African hospital. One thing though, she can't testify if she can't be found. We're in trouble. They may even think she sold the night vision to Muammar Gaddafi. Could it really have been Ivan after all?
Well, Interpol wants you and me to be double agents to Moscow, and in exchange they won't indict us for espionage.
There is so much heat here in London. Everywhere you turn, it's fraught with danger. Let's get out of here.
No way.
Let's go tonight to the Isle of Wight. Why wait? Nobody would ever think to look for us on an island in the English Channel.
Not a chance. I'm going to Germany. I'm going to pick up my new loaded Mercedes, and then I'm driving to Monte Carlo and getting lucky at the roulette table. I figured out a system to beat the house.
Really, Gabriella? We should be getting the hell out of here. Pack up while we're still alive. The Big Apple looks mighty good right now. Europe is so rife with intrigue. Quick, let's hide in the showroom behind the bookcase.
Jamil and Gabriella hide behind the bookcase and quietly listen in sight of the audience. The office door flies open and Ivan roughly shoves the woman forward into the office and into a chair.
Open your purse. Now, empty it upside down onto the desk.
The woman turns it upside down. Lots of loose cash and a gun fall out. Ivan grabs the gun.
That's Ivan pointing the gun at her.
Where is it?
Where is what?
Don't play dumb with me.
I ain't got nothing else. What are you really after?
You know what I want. I want a photo of Gabriella and Jamil selling night vision to the KGB.
Oh, I didn't know that guy was KGB. Oh my God, I can't check everyone's fingerprints, you know. Let's get out of here. We'll use the back doorway. Follow me.
This is a nightmare around here. We are being squeezed from all sides. Interpol also wants me to be their sting informant, and the CIA thinks I committed treason.
And terrorists are hot to get their hands on the night vision binoculars.
And in the meantime, Ivan is screwing us over.
He is such a creep. And frankly, I'm done with all of this. I'm going to disappear to Monte Carlo and fall in love under the moon.
And what will you do there?
I'll sell that Mercedes-Benz to Grimaldi and his friends, and then au revoir.
Hold on. You can't leave now. You'll leave all this evidence incriminating me.
Oh, I have to think of my family back in Hamtramck and keep them safe.
What you don't know is that Ivan and I are also working undercover and selling the night vision to two guys from Hong Kong.
You know what? I don't care anymore. I can and I am leaving.
If you do, I'll create one tangled mess that you will never unravel. Gabriella, you are not going to blow this for us.
You can bet your sweet life I will.
Jamil and Gabriella have a moment of realization together, and it dissolves into a tender embrace.
Why don't we both go to Monte Carlo together tonight? Just you and me.
Ivan hears the rustling and finds Gabriella and Jamil and points his gun at them.
Well, what do we have here? A little love nest? Get over there with her.
Gabriella pulls out a gun and points it at Ivan. At the same time, Jamil knocks the gun out of Ivan's hand.
You don't frighten me, Ivan. I'm the one with all the money, and it's somewhere where you'll never find it. Plus, in case you haven't figured it out yet, Jamil and I are both agents with the British Secret Service, and 007 is waiting for us in Monaco.
Ta-ta!
Gabriella and Jamil exit together, arm in arm, to live happily ever after.
Goldfinger, he's the man with the Midas touch, a spider's touch, such a cold finger beckons you to enter his web of sin. But don't go in. Golden words he will pour in your ear, but his lies can't disguise what you fear. For a golden girl knows when he's kissed her, it's the kiss of death from Mr. Goldfinger.
Sound of waves at rise.
Do you believe in angels? Some days I do. Some days change your life. You're blessed, sprinkled with moondust, it seems, and angels come to listen or to save you. But sometimes not, and life as you know it is lost. An accident, an unlucky break. One day the lake is filled with sunny waves. The next, it holds the haunting of a dark November. Time lengthens or shortens or pulls you back to some time you can never forget.
In the background, characters mentioned pantomime the action, laughing and happy as if on a spring day aboard a boat, or scared and shattered as the Coast Guard drags for bodies.
It was a moonlit evening, June 2nd, 8 years ago. What do you think the water temperature was before any late, hot June days? I was with my parents. We are very close, and I am lucky. We were going to the Grand Prix, a great weekend for Detroiters, always, always. The cast of characters.
They come forward.
My father, Dr. Carl Pesta, a physician executive, a singer, a musician, collector of classic cars, Packards, avid boater, great dad, and at one time the owner of a beautiful triple cockpit Chris Craft. My mom, Penny Pesta, gorgeous, funny, a bachelor's degree in art history on the Speakers Bureau of the Detroit Institute of Arts. A wonderful mom and a homemaker extraordinaire. Me, a professional actress for 7 years in New York and LA. I continued to act as I attended the University of Southern California for a PhD in psychology. But all our collective education in the boat that day didn't save us. Moondust, angels, and the Coast Guard did. We are the Pestas.
They take a bow.
Look, our family specializes in making things fun. It's kind of our motto. And we thought it would make the Grand Prix extra fun if we took my mom and dad's boat from New Baltimore to the Detroit Yacht Club, where I was a member. So we packed to spend the night there and enjoy the show. Nothing wrong with that, right? Experienced boaters, lovely evening, safe boat, good swimmers, and lots of life jackets. Mom always made sure of those.
The older family is enjoying the boating.
Yeah, but then the chop picked up around 9 Mile Tower. Mom thought we should head back. Dad and I, no, we were determined to continue. Perhaps our first mistake. The chop increased. Mom got scared. So Dad abruptly slowed down and turned to take her back in. This is what I wrote that day.
She reads from a diary.
The family watches for the Coast Guard with alarm, but trying to stay calm. The Coast Guardsmen arrive on scene, help the family onto their vessel, and work tying the sinking boat to theirs while working on dewatering.
A mile or more from land, no boats in sight. Rough seas. Our boat took on water today, completely over the engine. Engine stalled. In life jackets, we called 911, waiting a long 10 minutes. My mom lost her beloved father to drowning right near this spot. Calm heads and prayers. The Coast Guard of St. Clair Shores, fine young men, tried to dewater us after tying us to them. No luck. So with water splashing over the windshield, they towed us to safety. My mama is with her sister now, and Dad and I sit aboard. We are grateful for this life and this country with good servicemen and women.
The guardsmen lead the boat away. They help the women ashore and shake hands with the father, who stares out forward, shaken.
That day, we were lucky. I was so confident we would be fine. We had life jackets. We were good swimmers. But you see, I didn't know about hypothermia then, that the 55-degree water would have us losing consciousness within the hour. My Dr. Daddy knew, and he looked gray.
Begin the Beguine rises, my grandmother's favorite song. The father steps back. A young family of 4 runs forward. The 1950s mom gives the father a lunchbox and a thermos and a hat, and he kisses the girls goodbye. They all wave. He goes forward to laughing with friends.
Backstory. My beautiful mom had just turned 16. Her dad, Kenny McGowan, aged just 40, was a true outdoorsman, and like every year, he went duck hunting in the fall. But this day was blustery and cold November day in 1957. It was about the same spot on Lake St. Clair where we waited for the Coast Guard to rescue us. The story goes, a gale wind knocked over his sneak boat. His waders filled with water. His friends could hear him calling for help. Then he could not surface.
A large wave. He tumbles and tumbles away as if underwater and sits stage right, sadly watching the action.
Nearby boaters could not go in to save him without losing their own lives. Grandpa was a great swimmer, and it didn't matter. Can you imagine the moment my grandfather knew he was not coming home?
Leslie crosses downstage as if at the waterfront, watching her young 16-year-old mother and 15-year-old aunt come forward.
Mom and Aunt Pat stood by the waterfront gas docks for those 3 days as the Coast Guard dove and dragged the waters deep into the night looking for his body. Can you imagine their young faces in the moonlight? Can you imagine their worried hearts, their eyes searching the shoreline?
Grandma pulls a t-shirt over my young mother. The girls are lost, distraught. Their dead father gazes tenderly on them from afar.
Of course, there would be no insurance money unless a body was found. So the church gave my grandmother and her 2 young daughters undershirts and food as they could. South Lake High gave my mom a job as a cashier in the lunchroom.
The 16-year-old moves forward, counting money, looking off at her father who's there in her memory. He reaches out to her. She fumbles with the cash.
Young, vulnerable. Mom still recalls being so embarrassed and traumatized that she could not even make change.
Grandma comes forward.
The authorities finally came to the door 2 months later, on New Year's Day, when they found his body.
Grandma walks as if she's setting a table and then carrying dishes. She sees the authorities and drops the dishes. Begin the Beguine stops abruptly. She stands stunned, looking between the fallen dishes and the authorities, frozen in shock.
Yep, Grandma dropped all the fine china from her arms, so the family lore goes. How do you think my 37-year-old grandma felt as a young widow? How do you think My mom felt that day on the water with us after losing her father to the lake.
16-year-old daughter comes forward.
How do you think she felt with the engines fully underwater and our boat sinking?
The 16-year-old's adult self comes forward and holds hands with her childhood self. They stand side by side, looking at the water, frightened. Her father can take no more, rises up, runs to them, grabs them, kissing their faces, holding them close, protecting them. The rest of the players individually begin to come forward and turn to watch 1940s pictures of the young family, pictures of the news articles of the drowning, pictures of the contemporary rescue by the St. Clair Shores Coast Guard, a picture of a happy family post-rescue, pictures of a happy life projected in the background. Waves resume.
So you may wonder, what difference does Moondust make, and angels, and the Coast Guard? Well, Dad and I, we went to the races the next day, completely alive and happy. My physician father didn't have to watch us lose our lives to cold water. My 2 brothers and my sister didn't have to suffer a 3-person hole in every family picture. I got to watch my dear niece and my fabulous nephews grow up. I sang Sunday Kind of Love for my mom and dad on their 50th wedding anniversary later that year. And so life is for living. Later that year, I put everything in storage but 1 suitcase and took an around the world trip. Unsure of what was next, I learned about a home built by French settlers in 1850 in Grosse Pointe that was in danger of getting knocked down. It was called the Caju Farmhouse, and it captured my imagination. I let it lead me home after nearly 20 years away and lovingly restored it and live there happily today. So life is a moondust and chance. Life is the brief expression of our uniqueness, accepting grief and loss and moving through it to the other side. I was able to celebrate these last years with my beloved family and friends because we were not alone out there. There was moondust and angels, maybe even our own guardian angel, my grandpa that day. And of course, the brave Coast Guard, full of courage, risking their lives, hurrying to find us, to carry us home.
The players turn to the audience and take their bows.
By the light of the silvery moon,
Setting is Emily and Eddie's living room. Emily is Joan's daughter and is visiting. Frank and Joan enter stage singing.
By the light
Not the dark, but the light.
of the silvery moon,
Not the sun, but the moon.
I want a spoon.
Mother, is that you?
Yes, dear.
Holds about time. I've been worried sick.
Now, dear, there's no need to worry about me. I can still take care of myself. Go back to sleep.
How can I sleep with you staying out until all hours of the morning? I need to make sure you're okay. You're my house guest for another week, and I have to make sure you're safe.
All hours? It's not even midnight now. There's no need for you to check on me. I've been on my own for quite a while and can take care of myself. She's coming back to check on me. Get out of sight now.
But
don't argue. In the closet. Go.
And just who are you talking to?
Who am I talking to?
You heard me, Mother. Who were you talking to? I heard you telling someone to get in the closet.
I was just putting my coat away.
Putting your coat away? It's 80 degrees. You didn't wear a coat.
I came back to get one. You know how chilly these night airs can be.
There was singing too. I distinctly heard two voices.
Oh, that was definitely me. By the light, not the dark, but the light of the silvery moon, not the sun, but the
That's
moon.
enough!
Hey, quiet down in here. You're gonna wake the kids. What's going on?
My mother lied to me. She said she was going to the movies with that lady down the street whom she's become friends with, Lizzie. But I know you didn't. Do you know how I know you didn't? Because Lizzie called me looking for you because you weren't answering your phone. She wanted to know if you wanted to see a movie with her.
Well, in all fairness, I said friend. I didn't say Lizzie.
Then who else? What are you up to, Mother?
Okay, you're right. I didn't go to the movies with Lizzie.
That's a start. Go on.
I always planned to see a movie, and I did, at the library. By the Light of the Silvery Moon, starring Doris Day and Gordon McRae. It came out in '53.
Thus the song.
Exactly.
Except you weren't singing it alone.
I told you that it was just...
Enough! I can't take any more of this.
Well, it's about time you showed your face.
Marco the Magnificent.
Who?
Marco the Magnificent. You're Marco the Magnificent here, in my house. How awesome is that?
And who or what is Marco the Magnificent?
He's a magician, dear.
A magician?
Let me demonstrate. I believe I see something behind your ear.
Don't you dare come near me.
Maybe you prefer some flowers.
No! Stop! Mother, what have you done? And who is this character?
Emily, are you really saying you don't know who this is?
For all I know, my mother just found him wandering down the street and invited him in.
Let me clear this up. Until recently, I was employed by the Franco Cardella Entertainment Company.
The carnival people? You hooked up with a carny and brought him here? To my house?
Don't be rude, Emily. It's not like he was a sawdust spreader at the Tilt-A-Whirl.
Exactly. He had quite a following back in the day.
Oh, so now you're saying he's not just a carny. He's a carny has-been. Oh, I'm so thrilled to meet you.
Emily!
That's okay. I can appreciate what's going through your head. People don't really understand the business. It doesn't have the glamour of Hollywood or the excitement of the theater.
Even so, I must really apologize for Emily's behavior. I thought I did a better job of teaching her manners.
Manners? You want to talk about manners? What about bringing this lowlife into your daughter's home?
Emily, he's not a lowlife. He's Marco the Magnificent.
Oh, never mind. This is going nowhere. You see, Marco, Mother would never allow me to go anywhere near a carnival when I was a kid, no matter how much I begged.
Really? Why was that?
She told me that the rides were dangerous, the games were scams, and the sideshows were all illusions.
I see.
So obviously the people who work for the carnivals can't be trusted.
Well, that's not an issue anymore because I'm no longer in the business.
I don't care. You were. So get your carny ass out of my house.
Emily, don't talk to your father that way.
Him? My father?
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Marco the Magnificent is your father. How great is that?
Yes, Emily, this is your father. His name is Frank. Marco the Magnificent is just a stage name. I wanted this introduction to happen in a more civilized manner. But here he is, out of the closet, so to speak.
But you told me that my father took off right after I was born.
Well, in a sense, he did.
Your mother and I met when we were both young. I was a year ahead of her in high school, and I had an after-school job in a magic store downtown. We met when she came in and asked for something that she could use in a magic act for the talent show.
Et tu mater?
I thought I would be able to learn a trick quickly, just for the one show. Only I wasn't very good. But Frank was, and saw talents, and used me as his assistant for the show, actually. We were quite a team.
We started working at local festivals during the summer months when we were out of school and around the holidays, and we made enough money to get through college.
Then Franco Cardello saw the act and offered us a place in one of his sideshows.
You were a carny too?
Carny is such an ugly word. My official title was assistant to Marco the Magnificent.
Like that justifies it.
Anyway, we got married and continued traveling and performing with the group. We found our own little trailer and made it into a beautiful little home on wheels. Then you were born.
Which really wasn't a problem. We were part of a troupe, which was like a big family. You were the only baby and everyone watched out for you.
What a wonderful life.
But not for a child.
We wanted you to have some stability in your life, so I left the troupe and settled into a house as a single parent. We thought it would only be for a few years until I got a decent job and settled into the community.
A few years? More like a few dozen.
The challenge came about a year later when your father realized he had bigger ambitions. He wanted to be a clown magician. That would give him so many more opportunities to advance his career. But that meant he had to go to clown college.
There's a degree for that?
Clowning is just as complex a field as magic.
So that's when Marco the Magnificent just disappeared?
Yes, I came home for a little while. I really had a hard time finding my clown persona. The makeup, the costume, the practicing time I had to put in, it literally terrified you, Emily.
When we realized that you were suffering from clown anxiety, we made a difficult decision.
Your mother decided to continue life as a single mother. While I stayed with the entertainment group, I became known as Corky the Clown.
You're Corky too. You're Corky too. Wow, I saw you on TV.
Of course, first and foremost, he was your father.
Of course.
Remember all those home movies I took?
How could I forget? I hated those hot lights.
Well, I sent them all to Frank. All the tape recordings, too.
I thought you threw that stuff out.
No, I have all of them safe and sound in a storage facility.
Thanks to technology, he's been at all the major events in your life in some form or another. He even walked you down the aisle, although it was by cell phone.
Emily, your dad is Marco the Magnificent and Corky the Clown. How cool is that? And he even came to our wedding.
Cool? It's absurd. That's what it is. If all that is true, what are you doing here now?
Well, that's on me. Frank called me and told me he was taking off his clown shoes for good.
You were still performing?
Yeah, here and there, mostly local gigs, nothing steady. I do still have my hat and cape, though.
Wow.
Anyway, the last movie we ever saw was By the Light of the Silvery Moon. We caught it at some dollar show at a small town while we were traveling between towns.
We sang that song for days.
I thought it would be a great way for us to get reacquainted now that Frank's retired. Maybe we can enjoy a few years together.
Emily, I hope you'll come to accept me in time. Maybe not as your father, but at least as family.
My head is spinning. I need some time to think. I can't say I fully understand who or what you are.
Emily, I'm not sure if this will help, but let me try. I didn't know it until now, but I watched this guy perform my whole life. First as Marco and then as Corky. The kids loved him and he never got any bad press.
You know, I do still see something behind your ear.
I think I'm gonna go to bed and see if this makes more sense in the morning.
Oh boy, I can't wait to introduce my kids to the guy who played 2 of my favorite characters. Our family parties will be so much more fun.
By the way, I hold you 2 responsible for any nightmares I might have. Magicians and clowns still terrify me.
Care to dance?
Certainly.
By the light.
Not the dark, but the light.
Of the Silvery Moon.
Not the sun, but the moon.
I wanna spoon.
Frank and Joan sing By the Light of the Silvery Moon and dance as the light fades.
To my honey I'll croon love's tune. Honeymoon.
By the light of the silvery moon, I want to spoon, to my honey I'll croon love's tune. Honeymoon, honeymoon, keep keep a shining in June, keep a shining in June. Your silvery beams will bring love's dreams. We'll be cuddling soon, we'll be cuddling soon, by the silvery moon, 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 there by the light of the silvery moon, the moon.
Thank you very much for joining us tonight for our 10-minute play festival. Your support is important to us. Please consider donating to gpt.org/playfest to show your support for this festival and the work of our writers and actors. Our next virtual performance will be on Thursday, December 17 at 7 p.m. Join us for an encore performance of A Golden Age Holiday and Silent Auction. Enjoy musical showstoppers of the 30s, 40s, and 50s, including holiday favorites. This event will be presented on youtube.com/Grosse Pointe Theater. It's been a joy to perform for you once again. Stay safe and stay healthy.